We got Sam Finco in the house, so we're going to have him show us a few connection techniques for aerial rescue. We got a few folks here. Adrian, Mark, and Jacob. The rest are just us Game and Tree guys.
His swivel looks like it's in good shape. Rope's in good shape. Anchor's good. And, this is real, like, in a real rescue scenario, you don't have to do all of that out loud. We talked about everything on the ground ahead of time with first aid, where it's, get on the phone with the EMS, make sure the scene is safe. But this is, like, once you're in the tree. We were talking before about lowerable base anchors. I know that that's something that a lot of people are instituting and using a lot more frequently.
I think a lot of guys won't spend enough time to isolate their line to set up a canopy anchor, and I think with just sheer time constraints and thinking of being productive, that I think that people fall back on the base anchor, and just because.
Yeah, basal anchors are super fast. They're a really good way to get in a line in access. I really tend not to work on them, because of what we were talking about with lines getting cut, them being just in your working area, and another hazard to be aware of, that we've already got enough hazards to deal with. There's no real reason for us to add an extra one and add an extra obstacle, but I use them for access all the time. I've been doing a lot of working on single or accessing on stationary rope, moving over to moving rope, advancing my anchor, because then I can inspect my anchor, really get eyes on my tie, and I'm not shooting at 80 feet being like, yep, that's good, and I'm just going to work off of that. I can take something lower, something I know that's solid, because anchor point failures are a huge risk in our industry, especially on ascent. How many times have you guys all had one where it's like, all right, I'm deflected over that little branch, it's fine, and it breaks, and you drop 10, 12 feet because of all the foreshortening, thinking it's 2-3 feet above, that's fine. You get up there and it's 6, 8, 10 feet above where you thought was good, and all of a sudden you're dropping. And then you've got a branch coming at you. I got way off topic there. But shooting a basal anchor, something lower, something that you can see really well and verify from the ground, is really a good solid anchor point. And then moving to a final tie-in alleviates some of those issues, as well as it's been getting me in the habit of leaving an access line, which I think is going to be a lot more useful in terms of a rescue rather than a lowerable base anchor. Because that's, you just watched your coworker get hurt. Imagine throwing a throw line with that amount of adrenaline and stress and trying to access the tree while your buddy is bleeding or hurt or injured. Normal circumstances, hitting a tie-in is hard enough. With that level of stress, it's going to be next to impossible. So leaving an access line, I think, is one of those things where, yes, they get in the way. Yes, they're a pain. I'll tie the bag off to it. We'll keep it nice and tight to the tree. Redirect, leave a couple little stubs so it can follow the path of the tree, so it's not in the way, it's not getting dragged around, keeping everything neat, tidy, and organized, but then it's there in case of emergency. And then I get to my final tie-in and work off of that. But in terms of a rescue, if I'm on stationary rope, and I normally climb on the runner for stationary rope, which is my one-person load, before I even think about hard connecting to my patient. So I get to them, I'm doing my care. All right, they don't have don't see any bones protruding, equipment looks good, they forgot to put their helmet on, and their boots, and their pants. But if we're dealing with a non-life-threatening injury, EMS is usually going to take a little bit of time to get there. A real rescue takes a lot of time. I'm going to take the time to really do as much care as I can. If they've got, a chainsaw wound to the leg, I'm going to get the tourniquet on up here because I know I can get up here faster, get that bleed under control in the air before I'm even thinking about bringing them to the ground. Like if I'm in a good stable position where I can work on them, I'm going to do as much as I can up here because once I get them to the ground, until EMS is there, it's not going to make that much of a difference. And then once I'm up here, EMS can use me to do as much as I can. If it was an injury I can't see, you always have to be worried about head and neck injuries. They slipped off of something, they hit their head, they're unresponsive. A neck injury, you go up and you're moving them all around. That could make things worse. So being aware of all of those possibilities. So before I even hard connect to them, I'm going to add additional friction. And this, it's not a perfect solution to a system that's not rated for a 2-person load, but it is better. So adding a descender, you can even just I normally keep a DMM ring just on my harness, and you can set that up to add additional friction just by putting a bite through it and spiking it with a carabiner. And this one's a little bigger, but it is going to add some friction. It's not going to say, all right, this is rated for a 2-person load now. It's mitigating some of that. So I'm gonna set that right away before I'm getting hard connected to them. And then to bring them closer to me, I have an ART snake anchor that I use for work. I really like it. A piece of cordage. It doesn't have to be anything extra. This is just my daily kit that I have. So even if I don't have that, I keep a sling. I keep an extra hitch cord just on my harness. It packs up into nothing. Just something I've already got on hand. I don't need that much length. I want them to be relatively close to me, so I can cut that length in half, bring them over. Got this a little far away. Scooch my branch in a little bit. But then I've got my additional friction. Before I'm even bringing them down, I've got them connected to me so they're not going anywhere. And then I can worry about getting them into a good and stable position for descent. A couple different ways you can do this. You can flip a lanyard up over their shoulder, flipping it back to their swivel or their harness. And really using that lanyard to help sit them up so I can get them up and into a better position before I bring them down, so it's a lot easier for us to package them, for us to be able to get them onto a backboard, whatever needs to be done. Again, wouldn't do this if they had a neck injury as I'm lifting on the back of their head. You can even, how many of you guys run a chest harness with a sternal attachment while you're climbing?
Probably only me.
But using that, you can even just, pilfer through their gear. Look, there we go. I need an extra carabiner. Look at their saddle. Grab one off of it. But that can even be flipped up there to get them in a nice and stable position where where you can really work on them. You can, if you've got an arm injury, you can get that tucked in here so it's supported, not banging around on branches. But yeah, just a hitch cord is a good way to keep them next to you, to be able to control their descent. And adding that additional friction is going to make your descent look slower, but we don't want to be moving them quickly anyways.
Oh, you tied it off. The half
Moving stuff
turn.
around too much.
That's when you took it off to demonstrate
Yep.
the other method.
That's why you always visually double check.
There we go.
But then, you know, having them in a good stable position, asking for help, you know, using your ground crew to help you to be able to get them into a good stable position. You know, being able to move them around on site, use the rope to your advantage. Now, let's say you've got the trunk of the tree here, we can sit them down right directly against the trunk so they're in a good position to be able to, you know, you've got a bleed on their arm, I've already got a tourniquet on it, I've already got it packaged. All right, we're just waiting for EMS to get here. We've done everything we can do. We're here, we're in a comfortable position, we can get them into the rescue position from here easily. Just being able to make everybody comfortable as possible. While keeping your system set where it's you know, something happens with the system, you're on an akimbo or a runner or another device that's only rated for a one-person load, you end up, they tied their knot really loose. They're coming down quickly into your system. All of a sudden you're on a system that's not rated for 2 people, and then you start slipping and trying to catch that back to make the situation a lot worse. So being
when you're not gonna pack it up
I would pack a wound up in the air. I haven't, thankfully.
So what if they're on a hand ascender or something?
So
Do you have to like help them get off, or like, 'cause you're gonna have to switch over there?
yeah, so switching over to a different system, I would likely. See, let's set it up.
Yeah.
Let's set it up. Kevin's not going to get heat exhaustion any cooler than that. But yeah, he's got heat exhaustion going on. Like, I'm just gassed. I need to get down. My hands are tingling. I want to be done. I've got an access line set. I would, you know, on something like this, I'd get as close as I could to Kevin, bringing up an extra climbing line. I'd go right through there. Right through the carabiner on it, because I'm not worried about that sling at this point. Throw a distal on. I'd probably do this on the ground ahead of time. So I've got a good system set there. He's not climbing. I'm not worried about a tending hitch on it. And this is my everyday carrying stuff. Kevin's a little bit heavier than me, so I'm setting up a doubled rope here because I want to use the mechanical advantage to help me get some weight off of that tether there. So I can get him upright, comfortable there, and I've got this completely unweighted. This all looks like it's in good shape. I can disconnect this, and without even hard connecting, all right, Kevin, we're gonna come down.
Nice.
But having access to, you know, if you're bringing just one climbing line to a job, having an extra here and there it opens a lot of different possibilities for you in rescue and work and all of that. But I think the biggest thing is leaving an access line as much as you can, as much as makes sense.
And in this scenario, what was cool, so we had an atypical ascent system, but Sam didn't worry about taking that ascent system off. He's like, he utilized it and just added a system in it, which just streamlined the whole rescue process. So that's awesome.
And I don't work with you guys a ton. I'm not super familiar with all of your guys' systems, but when I'm working with another climber a lot, I like to pay attention to what system they're generally climbing on. Do I know how it works? Do I know how to use it? Like, I climb on a spider jack a lot, which is something that not a lot of people are super familiar with. But if I'm working with someone who's would be able to perform an aerial rescue, I try to give them a quick rundown on how it works. So they're not getting up to me and like, how does this work? Open up the lever and drop. It's, or adding friction beneath a system you're unfamiliar with to make sure that you know how to use it before you just open it wide open. And connecting to your victim isn't something that's required. It makes it nice if your access line's over here, they've got a redirect over here. That's a good time to connect to them, but it's not always necessary. So avoiding that possibility of creating a two-person load. Like if you were on ascent, I could have even done this ascending up the tail of this line and got up right next to you on the same rope. If your tie-in point was good enough for a two-person load.
Right.
Yeah, you guys have any questions? Anything else you guys want me to go over for just some quick little extra rescue stuff?
Give me a closeout conclusion. We'll make this a video.
The best thing you can do for an aerial rescue is prevent it from happening. And if it is like good positioning, good work practices, following our standards, and anticipating anything that can go wrong is going to keep you way safer than any level of rescue training or techniques. But familiarizing yourself with the gear of the people around you, so you know what they're climbing on, you know what it's capable of, you know how their ropes are, being aware of what everyone around you is working with is going to go a long way in facilitating a rescue.
And if you're close enough to EMS, comfort and care
Yep, comfort and care
is what you need to provide.
Yep, it's not an aerial rescue event. You have more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Nicely put. All right. Well, it's a game of trees. We're having fun. Sam Finco, Wisconsin champion, currently reigning. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Summer heat and thunder cold and throwing a storm of three. Stakes are high, there's always a risk when you're playing the game of trees.